Um, it makes the old interface look a little boring, kind of.
So you're actually bringing up a different filter with every photograph.
You can apply filters to the photograph. I like to think of it as putting a glycine cover over the photo. You could make it sepia, you could make it scratch, you could go black and white, and that filter is there, but underlying the original photo doesn't get touched.
Okay, but they're not allowing you to use a different filter with the same photograph. You actually have to.
Oh, you could duplicate the photo and do that. Yeah, you could change it it could change it on the fly. But let's wait till iOS 7 comes out on that, because there's going to be so much for it. All right, I'm going to do just a quick, because since we're going to go into calendar first, I want to do a very quick recap to what we did earlier. If I fire up Mail on the iOS, and I have a date here, and Carrie, you missed this. This is an address. If I tap on the address, I can immediately add it to my contacts from there. Okay? But if I if I click on the date that's in an email, I can add it to the calendar to show it in the calendar. So we've already added that from before. I'm going to show the exact same thing on the Mac. And when I hover my cursor over the date and click on it, it will add it to the calendar. We already have that, so I'm going to say no. I just click off of it. And this is how I would add addresses and phone numbers directly to contacts from an email. Make a new contact or add to an existing contact.
And when I try to do that now, most of the time it doesn't even want contact. Are they able to fix that?
Well, actually, so do you click on this, or do you go up to the top and say add sender to contacts? Well, if you do it from here, let's show you that. So if I click here and I say add to an existing contact, I then can type in a choice of people and select what one. And otherwise, I can create a new contact, and let's say this isn't the one I wanted. Come on here. If I create new contact, and let's say it wasn't really Ken Spencer, because it might not say it, it might be a company name, I can edit it before I type it in. Test 4 class. Okay, so we've added those. And the same thing with the when you do the date. When this fires up, I have the ability to edit it. Any of these things I can edit it on the fly, or once I'm in calendar, which is where we're going to go now, I can edit it from there. So if not, I can look at it during the break and see what your issue is with that. So, all right. So it used to be called iCal. Hopefully I won't slip up and call it iCal. It's calendars, because that's the way it is on the iOS device, and that's the way it is on Mountain Lion. I seem to slip up on Address Book more often than I do iCal. iCal was kind of cumbersome name. So we're going to go first off to that date that was July 12th for Party of the Century. And if I double click on that, I can edit this all I want. But the big takeaway here again was, since I made it from Apple Mail, if I click Show in Mail, it takes me back to the original email by clicking on that. And that's important because when we were going to the Party of the Century, we have to know the password, okay? So there's an advantage to entering it from Mail. And it links back to it, so it does what I call a round trip. Now, when we're talking about our calendar, the importance is with multiple devices to make sure our default calendars are the same. So before I go into any other preferences, I'm going to go into my Mac, and go up to Calendar Preferences. And in the first pane, we're going to go over this. So days of the week, hey, it's 7 days in a week. Our typical in the US is start on Sunday, scroll in week view. You can have your, in other words, when you go to day view, do you want to have it start at 8 or have it start at 6 a.m., day end at 6, or have it go till 10? That's on your day view. Doesn't mean how many hours you have to work. Show 12 hours at a time in day, but the big thing is make sure that you have your default calendar set to whichever one you want to use. Never select the On My Mac with the exception of possibly a bento situation. But select iCloud, because when we go to our iOS device and I go to Settings, now it's not in Calendar now, it's in Settings, Mail, Contacts, and Calendars, and if you scroll down, right here under Calendars, I have default calendar, and when I tap on that, I have the choices of whatever calendar I had. For neither of these, it doesn't mean you have to stay with that calendar, but if you don't specify a calendar, this is the calendar it will choose. So if I tell Siri to schedule an appointment, she's going to use this. And because I want it to sync with my Mac and my other devices, I want to make sure the default calendars are all the same. Okay?
So if it's, let's say you have working in Mac, you want to make sure it's working in iOS as well.
Correct. As long as they're both under iCloud.
Okay.
Okay? It used to be in the mobile B days, and before it was On My Mac was an option. Okay?
So long as your Mac default, let's say I have it on work, and then I want to go over to iCloud on my iOS.
No, Mail, Contacts, and Calendars. And in Mail, Contacts, and Calendars, oops, I'm clicking on my iPad with the mouse. That doesn't work. I'm sorry? Okay. And is there the same name? Is the calendar named the same as it is on your Mac?
No, I think I have it in Gmail for some reason.
Okay.
Okay, just click on work. It should be the same color. So your work under me.com. I'm probably going to start changing. I would change it to iCloud because of me may or may not. So I can go over here. Yep, go there. And then there's the same one. And then go here. Yes. Anybody else?
Oh, yeah, yeah, on mine, I have iCloud.
So tap iCloud here. Oh, that's contacts. Next one down is calendar. And work on the new, so it's the same. So as long as those two are the same, it should propagate to both of them. Does that make sense?
Well, work is here and work is there, but the other two, I don't know where those come over also.
No, okay, they do come over, they sync, but all we're saying is if I make a new appointment, if I don't select anything, this is the one I want it to go into. The category
Yeah.
I want it to go into. When in a second, when we make an appointment, we can choose alternate categories. But what the problem I see people run into is they don't even view that other calendar on their other device, and so they don't think that appointment ever showed up. So default should be the same. Now, the difference would be, let's say, at home you'd have your own personal calendar, but your iPhone's a work one, and you want it to go to a work calendar. I say start off with them in sync. It will still populate the other ones, but you may not see it because if I don't have it selected to view, it won't. Like for instance, on this one, if I haven't put those other calendars in there, here's the calendars. If I have it deselected over here on the left side, if I don't have work selected, my work ones don't show up. So it's important to have them all on the same one, and iCloud's what you want. Yours were on iCloud, which is good.
But it's not on iCloud on my computer.
It doesn't say it's not on iCloud. So it is definitely, well, it says iCloud right there.
I know, but there's no check there.
No. They're a subset of iCloud.
Okay,
In other words, those 3 calendars exist on iCloud,
okay.
and those are the same 3 calendars that are on yours. I don't even think it says iCloud on this, though.
Doesn't,
Yeah, it's inconsistency in their way that they're displaying it.
okay.
I don't see iCloud on mine.
You may not have iCloud set up.
Right? That's
Yeah. So let's go look at our iCloud settings really quick. First on the Mac, if I go up to the Apple logo and come down to System Preferences, please don't adjust any of these settings. This is just where to go check it, because I'll make a lot of money on phone calls after the fact if we start changing things, and we don't need to do that. If I click on iCloud in my preferences, calendar should be checked. Does anyone have it not checked? Raise your hand now. No, yours is going to be different. I'm going to go to the iOS device here in a second. So, okay, everybody does have iCloud and calendar is checked, right? Great. So you can go ahead and hit the red tab to release that. And I'm going to show you where here in the iOS device, right above Mail, Contacts, and Calendars, if we click on iCloud, we have to make sure, oop, we've got a delay here, there it goes. Make sure Calendars is selected. Okay? Everybody's copacetic on both devices. So now we know that they're both using our iCloud settings, okay? Yeah, and your iCloud could be a Gmail account or something else depending on what you set it up. We don't have to go into that. It should just work across it. So, back to the Mac. If we go to this Party of the Century, and I want to edit this, actually, I'm sorry, we're going to go back to Preferences really quick. So, we've set default calendar. The other thing you want on your Mac is show event times. It's off by default, and let me show you what happens. Look on my calendar. If I turn it off, it's crazy, but you don't get the times here. I would think that most people want the times displayed. And the last one is the birthday calendar. The birthday calendar resides, the data for your birthday calendar resides in your contacts. You set the birthday in contacts, and calendar reaches into contacts and brings you these birthdays out of what you entered in your contacts. Okay? Bart?
Are there other events like anniversaries and things that you can also populate, like you do birthdays?
Not yet. They don't really work that way. But that brings the next point is we can do subscriptions to calendars. Now, we talked about this linking to my address book. But there are other kinds of subscriptions. And if we go to my calendar,
So is a birthday considered a subscription?
it's a subscription to the address book or contacts. But if you look on mine here, I have one called USA Holidays, and it's a subscription. I have the Formula One calendar from 2012, which I'm sure is now out of date. The San Jose Sharks schedule is a subscription. You can't subscribe from your iOS device, but if you have a subscribed calendar, let me make sure. Yes,
Now, is that the Mac view?
this is the Mac view.
I don't have that column.
On the left?
Yes. Where do I?
Now I don't.
Oh, okay.
Good point.
Thank you.
So just click on calendars. And while you're over there, do you guys have these little dates on the side? The mini calendar? If I grab the mini calendar, I can move it up and down to disclose more months. Okay? I think the mini calendar is great like that. But I moved it out of the way for these subscriptions. So, let's say you wanted to subscribe to a certain... You got it?
What click do you use to move it?
You got to go where the line is on the top. Oh, there you go. And your cursor will become no, wait till you go slowly right up near the top line there. Right there. Click it and drag. There you go.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Apple hides these things. They don't give us a lot of breadcrumbs to go find them.
That's why we need
Yeah, that's why I said earlier in the class is Apple hides all these things and then tells us, hey, go exploit these, right? So the other way on the iPad is you simply tap the calendars button up top and you see your calendars. Now, rather than the check boxes we have on the Mac, you simply tap on these and say, okay, if I tap it again, I select that calendar not to be viewed. So for instance, I'll tap, USA holidays. See, it unchecks it. Then I tap it again and it brings it back. Okay? A lot of people ask me about colors. They make extra calendars because they want different colors. No, because too many calendars clogs everything down. It's kind of like if you want to keep one central calendar and make some notes if you want. But if you want to actually change the color of a calendar, you'll notice this little arrow right here. So I tap on the little chevron, and now I can change the color of that calendar. And look what popped up. I can share just this calendar I'm on with anyone in my address book. And essentially, they've then subscribed to your calendar.
No, you're just talking about that.
Just the calendar I'm in. So let's go back.
Just the purple one that you're in.
So I just picked the purple calendar one, and I clicked Add Person. Okay? If it's a situation where I want everyone to be able to view it, I can make it a public calendar. And then there'll be a link to it. Okay? But a shared calendar would be a great situation, say, in an office. Or a family for family things, where the husband and wife have their work ones and their sewing ones and their golf ones. But then there's the family calendar that they want the kids to be able to see.
So when you're seeing the master calendar, superimposed of all of your calendars, and then you can highlight one of the calendars. Just say, I only want them to see this calendar. I want them to see only this calendar.
Correct. And what happens when you go to print? You want to print the calendar because you're going to put it up on the refrigerator, right? They don't want to see everything else.
Right.
So, on the iOS device, oh God, click. So, usually the easiest way to do it is say hide all calendars, and now I'm going to say, well, I'll say my home calendar, and now only my work calendar shows up, and now if I print that, it's just that. So I'm going to say show all calendars again, and I'm going to get out of that screen, and we're going to go to the Mac. Same thing applies. Here I can just click them off individually. And now let's look at the printing options, by the way. Print. See the mini calendars up here? That's toggled on and off right here. Okay? May not want to waste ink. In printing on here, you have the option of showing what calendars you want or don't want to show up when you print. Actually, I'm sorry, we'll start from the top. So you can do a day view, a week view, etc. List is another one that's kind of effective. It just puts it in a list. But I didn't. It starts, ends after. Let's expand this. Okay, so there's a list. That's real good. You could fold away if you want. But let's change it to month view. Now, when I go to print, it's only showing 1 month. So I can say start next month and end after 12 months. And now when I go to print it, obviously it'll be 12 months. I can print it in black and white if I'd like. I can show all-day events or not show all-day events and timed events. We're going to talk about that when we create events here in a second. So that's our print page, and you are pretty adaptable. And again, select what calendars you want to print. On your iOS device, you don't have, actually I don't even, let's see here. You don't have a print option for your calendar. Yeah, I think in iOS 7 we do, but you have to have an iPad specific, an iOS printer that will support it. All right, so we're going to create an event on the iPad by tapping on it. Oh, first of all, we can always go to today by tapping today. Lower left gets us back to today. And I'm going to just select a date and tap it, double tap, and it brings up that date. And then I can hit the plus sign. And then you just pick where you want it. And you add the event. Actually, let's go back to month view. I apologize. Hit the plus sign in the lower right. And now this comes up. And what do you expect we're going to call this event? Test. That way I know I can always delete these things after the fact. When does it start? Well, in fact, let's put the keyboard down. I can adjust when it starts by tapping on I tap in this area. Is everybody here? Everybody did new event? Should be the same. In fact, should be the same on the iPhone. Just a little bit bigger here. Okay. Yeah, exactly the same. So tap here, and you get the slot machine, I call it, so you can adjust and figure out what day you want it to be. Well, I'll pick June 24th at 4 p.m. and it automatically sets the end for an hour after that. Otherwise, you just tap on end and you can adjust the end and say, oh, it's going to be a long meeting. It'll go to 8. Which is really neat. Because in iOS 7, if you do 2 appointments and you specify the location, it will tell you how long it takes you to get from one to the other and let you know whether you're going to have time to make it or not. Now that's pretty cool. If it's an all-day event, for instance, it's going to the lake. You don't have to set a time. You're not going to say, I'm going to get to the lake at 6 and leave at 10 at night. Just say all-day event. And an all-day event will be displayed on your calendar a little differently. So if I hit done, an all-day event is solid. Okay? Timed events are not solid. And there's my reminder. It just gave me a reminder about tomorrow up on my Mac. So, why did it remind me, I wonder? Let's go back to let's go back to that event. Now, I'm tapping on test in my calendar. Those of you on your Mac, let's see, close. If you click on today, now see, this is the inconsistency that Apple needs to work out, and that's why they don't have Scott Forstall anymore. Our today button is on our iOS device down here, and on this calendar it's up here. We hope to see consistency of the interface between the two later. So you'll notice tomorrow I have test. On the Mac, if I double tap on it and then hit edit, I get my edit screen. Everything I set, let's say we made it an all-day event, but let's say no, it's really not an all-day event. It then gets the clock. Now when I do my clock, I can hit the up or down arrows to just change the time. Or I can type in 12, then I hit tab, 10, then I hit tab, and I can simply hit P, and it puts it in. But this is a big pain in the butt to do it this way. So let me show you a little easier way on the Mac, and it works on the iPad. I'm gonna double click on Friday the 29th, below where the date is. And I'm gonna say test 2 event, test 2 at 10 p.m. Okay? I didn't format this. I said it as I would say it. I'd say test is at 10 p.m., right? So watch what happens when I hit enter or return. It made test 2 at 10 p.m. I didn't have to get fancy about it. I typed it as I would say it. Okay? And if you have Mountain Lion on your computer and you double tap, did we learn the function button before? We'll do that in a second. I'll wait. So anyway, you type it in. But look what happens on an iOS device with Siri. So that was, we're looking at the 28th. Schedule test 14 at 10 p.m. on the 28th.
Ken, I'm not allowed to schedule events in the past.
Oh. Schedule test 14 on June 28th at 10 p.m.
Okay, here's your meeting. Note that you already have an all-day event about event for Friday. Shall I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
It's on your calendar for 2 p.m. Friday.
So, I told Siri the same thing I typed. I said schedule test 14 for Friday. Oh, it just said test. Oh, 2 p.m. Did I say 2 p.m. or 10? I'm sorry, I did. Okay. So because there was an all-day event above it, she circumvented it. Let me find. Actually, here I have one. Actually, let me see if I can get this plugged in. I'm going to do it from my iPhone just so you can hear it. Schedule test the calendar. Oh. Schedule test the calendar on July 6th at 9 a.m.
Okay, here's your meeting. Note that you already have 2 appointments that overlap with this. Shall I schedule it anyway?
No, cancel.
All right, Ken, I'll leave it off your calendar.
And sometimes she'll say you were probably too busy anyway. She's got a great personality. Let me see if I can get Siri up on this. So Siri will be right beside. Good. Okay. All right. So now if we look at our calendar on the Mac, you'll notice we made the test calendars for the 28th. They all came over. I'm looking at the Mac, and obviously they're on the iPad, and it went to all my devices. So in Mac Calendar, simply say what you want it to do. If you have Siri, simply tell it what you want to do. Okay? And she checked your calendar and said, how busy are you? What does my schedule look like for July 6th? Oh,
Okay, Ken.
let's do it where you can hear it. Oh, got Siri going, Siri over
Sorry,
here.
I missed.
I'm juggling, I think.
I don't know.
Siri's my girlfriend. What's my schedule like for July 6th?
You have appointments at 5 and 9 a.m. At
And-
5 a.m. Qualifying session.
And if I just
Run
tap
free
the screen
at
where that is,
Newburgh.
it takes me...
At 9 a.m. Mac.
Oh, she won't. There, she takes me right to the calendar. Even better than that, launch mail. Okay. Launch contacts.
Which of these would you like?
See, I have
Contacts.
multiple ones. So the first step was Apple making it so we could enter our contact or enter our calendar however we want. Now they make it so because we could type it and now Siri can listen to it and tell us. So to me, that was the huge part about Siri. There's other parts about Siri. I can send emails, I can send text messages without ever touching my phone. In my car, I have a Bluetooth, and I simply tap the call button on my Bluetooth, and she goes bing, bing, and I say, send so-and-so a text message, etc. And, I mean, it's huge for this. So, in calendars, in the Mac, we'll finish up on our preferences because don't worry about accounts. That's where you would add other accounts you have. You probably have an iCloud account. I would be reluctant to turn on time zone support because if you take your Mac somewhere else in another time zone, it might mangle up the 3 hours if you go to the East Coast and stuff. Be careful with this. You've been warned. Alerts. Now this is, you saw an alert pop up when I made that other contact or that other event. This will give me alerts. This is the default. So anytime I make an event, it says, well, here, hang on. Take that back. This is actually different. I can give myself an alert as a default anytime I make an event. And I'll say 15 minutes before. And for all day events, 1 day before the event. And if I say use this for defaults on my computer. Now, that means whenever I make an event, it will automatically send up an alert on my computer and my iPhone warning me that I have something coming up if it's 15 minutes before or the day before. Now, if I go to the event, remember the test event we did, we'll go down to test 2 at 10 p.m. and I double click and click edit. You'll notice here is alerts. All right? You notice it now has default because I set the default. But what I want to do is I want to change that. I either don't want this thing to alert me or message with sound, or if I have something far in the future, I'll say send me an email 3 days in advance. So I'll remember that. Because the little notification on your screen sometimes isn't enough. Sweep it under the rug, it goes away. So you can, I'm going to set this one to say send an email from that email address, and I'm going to send it like 3 days before. Well, I know me. I'm going to see that 3 days before and know that I have plenty of time. So I'm going to have to do a second alert. And I this time want to do message with sound. And when do I want it? What's ironic is I don't know if you would ever do it after the event. I don't know why they have them in there. But how many hours, minutes, hours, or days before?
Still hope you feel guilty that you didn't do it.
That's in our reminders. We can feel guilty in our reminders when they're coming up. But yeah, this was before we had reminders. So on date, etc. And it's a little innocuous thing that pops up on your screen. It can either have a sound or not have a sound, and it's very useful. I find that I don't want alerts on by default. I only want certain things to give me alerts. So I choose those events to give me alerts. The other thing is, we inevitably make repeating events. You may have something that you want to do. Well, for instance, let's say trash day is on Friday. So you want to go set up trash day. And we just so happen, now this is interesting. We're on a Friday right now, but watch this. I'm going to edit. And I'm going to say repeat every day, every week, every month, or every year. So every year would be anniversaries because they always fall on the same date. Every month, obviously, the first Saturday, or not the first Saturday, excuse me, but the 13th of the month or whatever. But we're going to go every week. And then when I set that up, it will always, forever, keep it on your calendar. It doesn't really add it until you get closer to the other days, but it doesn't take up room. Bart?
Under the custom,
I'm getting there right now. So, for instance, Mac Nexus, the Mac Users Group, the 12-step program for Mac, meets the third Tuesday of every month. So the date changes. So if I want to do this custom, I say frequency is monthly, and because I'm already positioned on my calendar here, it says each, but I'll say on, and it already surmised that I'm on the fourth Friday. See, it was smart enough. 1, 2, 3, fourth Friday, right? So since that's where I am and I'm saying adjust that appointment, it says make it on the fourth Friday. So I'm going to do that and say OK. Done. Now when I go to the next month, you'll notice that test 2 is on the fourth Friday, and the next month it's on this one.
can it be as, I have this, I have to work like every third Saturday, not every third Saturday of the month, but I work one Saturday, then 2 weekends off, then another one. So every month it kind of falls on a, it's kind of an odd thing. There's no
Option code.
Well, you can move them, but I'm telling you, he wants to get a repeating in here, so hang on.
So, like, let's say I create the first Saturday I work, I said, now in 3 weeks from now, I want to repeat that, and then 3 weeks from that date, I want to repeat it, and 3 weeks from that, I want to repeat it. Can you do something like that? Okay?
Also option drag, so if you would say it's just
That's the copy of events. I'm going to go into that in a sec. But frequency is weekly, but see, you're how is your schedule again?
So let's say I'm going to work this coming Saturday, and then 3 weeks later I work again, and 3 weeks later I work again. So so sometimes
Yeah,
I
it's
work-
kind of weekly, but skipping 3
Yeah,
weeks.
It's not like just on the third Saturday or something, or on something neat. It's kind of, sometimes I work 2 Saturdays a month, sometimes I work 3 Saturdays.
Yeah, see, every 3 weeks you can do weeks by hitting weekly.
Oh, okay.
Because Sean, that's how you do your schedule, right?
And then you just hit 3.
Yeah, every 3 weeks on what date? The key to get there was
I see it
My thing was to really get where you were, what your schedule was. But you have to change the frequency first. Change the frequency up top to weekly,
Yeah, I did.
and then you have that.
And I have a meeting that I go to the first and the third Thursday of every month. Is there a
Uh-huh.
way to do that?
Yeah, believe it or not, the easiest way to set that up is twice. Just enter the same one twice and have it repeat. Have your first, it's Thursdays, you said, the first Thursday? Have your first Thursdays be one, and have your third Thursdays be a second one with the same title. And then, so what happens is, now the other thing is, once we have repeats, we have the spot to end it. Let's say that you're only doing that for 3 months or for a year. You're going to not be president of the organization anymore. So you can end it whenever you want. So I'm going to leave it like that. And now we've said done. So we're every month on the fourth Friday we've left it at. Now, inevitably, holidays come up during these special ones, and you need to move that event to a different day. So I'm going to go to August, and test 2 is on a Friday. But let's say that's National Broom Day, and we decide we're not going to have a meeting that day. Instead, we're going to have it on Thursday that time. Okay, so if I click and drag test 2 over to Thursday, I'm clicking and dragging test 2 over to Thursday. And when I let go, look what happens. It says, do I want to change everything now to the third Thursday or just this event? Okay, so if I say just this event, it's there. So using calendar in this way can be very advantageous rather than sitting there and laboriously entering a date and here and there, etc. Doesn't matter if that was a custom one. That could have been one where it's the 23rd of every month. If you move the one, it gets it. So now I move it back, and it just moves back. Now, like in Carrie's case, let's try this. I'm going to, instead of drag this up to the Friday, 2 Fridays before that, I'm going to hold down the Option key. And when we hold down the Option key, it copies. So watch the screen, and it becomes a plus sign. So you see I'm moving that Option up there and let go. You are duplicating an event. It's a repeating event. So let's see if it brings all our repeatings up to it so you don't have to enter all that information again. Duplicate this event. And our repeats didn't carry over. Okay? That's the first time I've ever tried it with a repeating event. So you just have to enter the repeating cycle again within it. But anytime you want to duplicate an event, you can hold Option. Actually, we won't do that one because that's a multiple one. Let's find one that's not multiples. In fact, let's just go delete that. So anyway, just drag it if you need to move it. If it's non-repeating, it won't ask you that. If it's repeating, it'll ask you if you want it to be a repeated event. Oh, because it might have been, maybe you just moved it this Friday, I think is why they asked that. Do you want to duplicate it? So again, you'll have to set up 2. You're going on vacation for a week or 2. Sean's paying all expenses. So it's going to be in the middle of August. So I'm going to say I'm going to leave Monday the 29th. So I double click on Monday, vacation. So I just put in vacation. It made an all-day event without me saying any date. So now I double-click on this, and I go from, and then hit the 2 and say, oh, okay, it's going to go till there. Oh, 29th, 31st. Let's say August 7th. So now, we're not going to repeat that event. Done. It's blocked out that vacation. So it's multiple day events. On the iOS device, it's virtually the same, except you can do repeating events, but you cannot do, so far, custom events on your iOS device. But custom events show up here. So if you have a custom event the first Saturday of every month, make it on your Mac and it will propagate to here. Okay? The example was test 2 was a repeating event. And you'll notice it's a custom. See, it took the custom, but it doesn't give me an option to make customs on the iOS device. Okay? It'll let you do weeklies, it'll let you do monthlies in a normal way. But so far, and I really think that'll happen in iOS 7, you'll be able to make the custom one. So the only time you have to do it on your Mac is with custom.
Option red on edits.
How would you hit option?
Using the keyboard.
As I'm trying to click my iOS screen with my mouse again. So, but I can move it. Actually, in iOS 7, it's going to be even a little bit easier. I click and hold and move it. Okay?
Does it
Let me try this second touch, because that sometimes... No, it's simply you can just drag the event. Okay? But it gives you the option. Now you're moving it. So again, let's say I move test 2. My little warning screen comes up just like the other one and says, this is a repeating event. Do you want to change it for this event only? Okay? Just the only downside is you can't create custom events in here. I think just like groups and contacts, that will probably come in iOS 7. So, many times, you might be somewhere else. God forbid you don't have your iPhone or you don't have internet connectivity. You're at an internet cafe in Mexico and you don't have any connection. I can go to any browser on any computer and log into iCloud.com. With your username, your Apple username. And log in. And this suspiciously looks just, as soon as the internet loads it, suspiciously looks just like my calendar. And it's completely editable. I can go to that test 2 event and look at this. And part of the reason is I want to see if I can do custom. Let's try this. Cancel. Let's check a non-custom event. I can do custom. Daily, weekly, monthly. There we go. So online, through any browser, any sophisticated newer browser, you can do it there also. But don't forget to sign out if you're at the library doing this or somewhere else, because you also have access. If we go to this little cloud up here, our address book is there, or contacts, I should say, excuse me. They're there too. And it times out after a while. We have notes and reminders here also, which we're going to go over in just a little bit. I want to finish up with a calendar. Where do I find subscriptions? So I go to Safari, and to be honest, the way I find it the best is Google. And I can say, I still say iCal because it searches for iCal calendars, because calendar is such a generic term. iCal Formula 1 calendar. And it's ICS is what we want. So I'm doing a Google search. And now if you look here, many sports websites and things like that will actually publish a link to show their calendar, and then from there it downloads the file and it adds it right to the iCal. So let's see here. Showing results, calendar, race times. You know, this one's probably a little bit too... Here, right here. Notice in the top. Add these race times to your Outlook, Google Calendar, or mobile. So if I click on that, I don't want all the practice sessions. Yeah, qualifying's okay. And I don't want to set a reminder. And I say, get calendar. And then I say, download the ICS file. Think of iCal schedule. It's not really what it means. But if I click go, it's now downloading it. And look at this. I didn't touch anything. I'd like to add it to my Formula One. Oop, I'm going to make it a new calendar. And click OK. And you'll notice I have now Formula One calendar 2013. Now, that's set, and here is, I already had it. It's, you notice yellow. So it's the qualifying sessions, which actually I told it not to do qualifying sessions, but, oh, qualifying I did. Yeah, I told it I didn't want the other. So I get too many Formula Ones right now, so I'll just turn it off. It could be the Giants, it could be the 49ers, it could be the San Jose Sharks. Sean, it could be the Chicago Blackhawks, which hopefully only play one more game tomorrow night.
Yes.
Tomorrow night for the Stanley Cup Championships, I hope. Since the Sharks couldn't make it. All right, any questions on calendar? Go ahead, TJ.
Under advanced on the preferences, automatically.
Oh, you just had to dig in there, didn't you?
Because I always get this. I'll share my work calendar.
How do you share an Outlook calendar?
No, I do that, and then I get all those crazy stuff.
Uh-huh.
Well, what
And you want to blame the Mac or you want to blame Outlook?
I'll blame Outlook for everything.
Good start.
What does that mean?
Which part?
The bottom line.
CalDev. So let's say someone sends you an invite in an email. Without you actively clicking on it to add it, it will actually pull it out of the email for you and make an invite into your calendar. Okay. CalDev is just a protocol. It's a generic protocol. Unlike Outlook uses stuff, it's Google Calendar, Yahoo Calendar, all those use CalDev is what it is. But that would just make it so it automatically adds it to your calendar, which if in fact in Outlook it does that already because Outlook is integrated with it. You can set it not to, but it does within Outlook. So we're all calendar experts now. The big takeaway there is make sure that starting out from default, all your devices are on the same calendar. But when I go to an event, like we made test 2, I hit edit and I can decide what calendar I want to put it on. Okay? That's on the iOS or on the Mac. You can always change it to a different calendar. But the calendar you're going to use the most, make your default. Okay? And I can't stress enough how Siri makes it. So if I'm going to go here, and we're on June, so I'm going to say, with Siri, you say what you want it to do first. You give it an activity and say, schedule the greatest class ever finally ends today at 5 p.m.
Okay, here's your meeting. Note that you already have an all-day event about EmpowerMac that started yesterday. Shall I schedule it anyway?
Yes.
I scheduled your event for 5 p.m. today. The event is titled Greatest classic ever finally end.
Classic.
I guess I'm a classic. It's because I didn't have good diction, I'm sure. Couldn't be Siri's fault. I don't want to blame my girlfriend. iPad mini, iPad 3, iPad 4, iPhone 4S and newer support Siri. Okay? Siri's wonderful. Just a little aside to that is, if you have Siri available on your iOS device, for instance, if I go into Mail and I create a new mail, you'll notice everywhere I have a keyboard, I have a microphone. I tap the microphone. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Period. New paragraph. I've said this phrase so many times, comma, it's getting very old. Period. I can dictate for up to 30 seconds, comma, and it will type what I say. Period. Or hopefully it will. Question mark. New paragraph. Everywhere you have a keyboard, you can speak and have it type. Okay?
Now with like on series, a lot of times if I work too long, she thinks I'm done. I find
Siri's different.
Yeah.
And Siri, basically, you can't pause for too long because she's designed to be totally hands-free. So that's why that is. But we're not going to go to Siri too much. But with Siri, with this, it'll wait till I start speaking. It's just sitting there going, and it will go up for up to 30 seconds. And if I want to take over where it left off, I can continue typing wherever I left off, period. And I don't know if it did continue. So now, you notice the blue underline? If I tap on that, it said, oh, did I mean I will everywhere or it will everywhere? Or it will press it anywhere. So let's say here, hopefully well. See, it's saying let's combine all that. So that's not good. And I continued you. I can you do. See, she's trying different things because I really mumbled that at the end. But let's dictate from our Mac while we're here. So, did you guys do this yesterday? Carrie, I don't think you did. Barb, you got it going.
You were gonna check to see about a Bluetooth keyboard on iPads.
Oh yeah, I didn't find any information on that. On your, do you have used dictation on this ever? No, on this.
No.
You can't on that. Double tap your function. Oh. For dictation and Siri to work, you have to be connected to you. And you are. So when you get home, you have a connection. Double tap. I'll demonstrate. So you guys, hers isn't working because she doesn't have internet. So that's what happens. It just times out. So on the Mac, if I go to New Message, and this is all, it's on all the Macs as long as you run a Mountain Lion. Okay. So wherever I can type, I can use my microphone. So I double tap the function button. Once I double tap the function button, I can see the microphone and it will tell me the level at which I'm speaking, comma, and it will do speech to text, period. On every Mac that has a microphone, period. The only exception would be the Mac Mini.
Where is the microphone?
Yeah.
Located?
Where is the microphone on yours? Okay, Barb, stay seated. Everybody else stand up for a second. Well, no, you don't have a Mac with you. But you can look at hers. Look at right there. It looks like a flaw.
Oh.
And that microphone works fantastic. You know, on the new ones, I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, it is. It's on the very back. Right in the back of the middle. Yours is right on top, Connie, right there. It looks like a flaw.
But where's the symbol on the regular keyboard?
Oh, there's not a symbol on your keyboard.
Oh, I didn't.
Okay.
We didn't have internet.
Oh.
yesterday.
All right, so you double tap the function button. Try it. Tap the function button. Good.
Close.
Function. Don't move your mouse.
How do I do that?
Oh, go like you're going to go to the email. Because you have to be where you're using the keyboard. Go ahead and get to go to
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I need to do
right here now. Click here. Double tap function. Oh, are you not running Outline? Well, go to System Preferences. Double tapping the function button should bring it up. You were late. It's the
Being
dependencies.
punished.
It's actually what happens is they run out of IP addresses. It's a but it'll be easy. That's how you do things. Go to dictation. Let me see if you're on. All right, so I'm going to show you the other way to get there, just so you can enable it. So when you get an internet connection, go up to the Apple logo, come down to System Preferences. Everybody can do this. You don't have to have internet to do this. Apple logo, come down to System Preferences. This is the most compelling reason to spend $20 to upgrade to Mountain Lion, right? All of 20 bucks. In the System Preferences, in the fourth row, near the middle, you'll see Dictation and Speech. Click on that and turn it on. It is now, but see, you don't have internet. So let's talk about how this works. We did Siri a minute ago. So on my iOS device, if I have Siri, everywhere I have a keyboard, I have a microphone, correct? Right here. So if I tap this, I'm drunk. New paragraph. Will I need a jacket tonight? Period. It types exactly what I said. Right? So now I'm going to get out of this, and I'm just going to have my phone not doing anything. And I'm going to say, I'm drunk.
I hope you're not driving anywhere.
Karen.
Yeah, Ken. She knows my name.
She didn't say
She's my girlfriend. Come on, she's got to know my name.
Yeah, she didn't say Cam.
So, well, sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. She probably thinks you wouldn't know anyway because you say Cam because I'm drunk. So what happens here is the speech to text is something fairly simple. And what it does, whether it's on the Mac or whether it's on the iOS device, it records what I'm saying, sends it out over the internet to Apple's supercomputer in Maiden, North Carolina, and it crunches it up, and it came back and typed for me, I'm drunk, right? And it typed for me, well, I need a jacket tonight. But if I do this one, will I need a jacket tonight?
The low will be 63 degrees.
She didn't type back to me, I'm drunk, or will I need a jacket tonight? She interpreted what I said as, if you say you're drunk, maybe you shouldn't drive. And, will I need a jacket tonight? I didn't have to say, what's the temperature going to be tonight? Will I need a jacket tonight? Now, did you notice when I said I'm drunk, it came up and said, call me a taxi? Believe it or not, when I tap that, it uses the GPS and finds the nearest taxi service to where I am. And in the not too distant future, I'm sure that those cabs that have GPSs in them will actually find me the nearest cab, not just a cab company. Will I need a jacket tonight? She came up with this, and she said the low temperature is going to be 63 degrees. So I can take it one step further. Convert 63 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Let me think about that. Here's what I found.
She won't speak this. It uses what's called Wolfram Alpha. But let's wrap our head around that. Our little iOS device has got this teeny little chip in it. And it's only getting us to the server, the billion-dollar server that Apple built and made in North Carolina. They're building 2 other ones. And it crunched it up and sent it back to you. And in a really short amount of time. But that's why you have to have an internet connection. Believe it or not, we think it looks like in Mavericks 10.9 for the Mac, you won't have to have an internet connection for the speech to text. Nobody's saying whether we'll have Siri on the Mac or not. Okay? Siri is this good, and it's still in beta. Apple hardly ever puts betas out to the public. So, I get excited about Siri because it's really the future. My big fat fingers don't like typing on the iPhone keyboard. And I don't need to anymore. But I got pretty good at it because I did it from day one. And it was very predictive about getting words, even if I put a typo in it, because I do typos all the time. So, leverage Siri because she can do pretty much anything.
So we can text message.
Send Sean Vogwell a text message.
Okay, I can send a text to Sean Vogwell for you. What would you like it to say?
I guess I could have just walked over and talked to you, but I might as well text you.
I updated your message. It says, I guess I could have just walked over and talked to you, but I might as well text you. Ready to send it?
Send it.
Okay, I'll send your message.
Now, you notice she read it back to me. It's because I have something in the headphone jack. It's part of what Apple calls, and they're collaborating with other people, it's called the Eyes Free Initiative. I can keep that in my hip, and I can in my car if I have my iPhone headset on with the little microphone right here that's wonderful, and I don't have to look at my screen because she read it back to me. If I go here and I do Siri not with a headphone, she won't read it back to me because she knows I've got it on my screen. Okay? So that's why she reads it back, and the cab thing and everything else works the same.
How about if you're on the Bluetooth?
That's a Bluetooth, counts as a headset. In my car, I don't have built-in Bluetooth. I put in aftermarket Bluetooth, a Parrot wireless. And the trick is finding out whether you hold the call button or tap the call button or do whatever. You have to figure that out with your particular Bluetooth. But in my car, I tap the Bluetooth button, driving along watching TV, right? Because I don't want to text while I'm driving. So I'll be watching TV, driving along, and say, send somebody a text message. Send someone an email. Call so-and-so, they bring it out of my book. Or let's say I see a billboard and I just say call a certain number. Call 916-635-9838.
Calling 916-635.
So, she'll do
I
that.
don't know what you mean by so.
Will you marry me?
That's sweet. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Play songs by the Doobie Brothers.
I couldn't find the Doobie Brothers
Figures.
in your music.
But watch, I'll have Enya. Play songs by Enya.
Now playing Enya.
Okay? So, sorry, I don't want to, you guys don't need to be exposed to that.
When I ask her what is her favorite joke, she says, "Please, Bart, be serious."
There's a lot of things I can ask her but this isn't a Siri class, but I wanted to show you. But the important thing here is, what easier way to get stuff into my calendar than going into I can make it a little easier with Siri. I can say launch iCal or launch calendar, whatever. But the other thing is, if you're in an area, if you're in a place where you don't want to use the speaker, you bring it up to your head. It probably won't work because I have it plugged into a headphone. I'm not sure. If I didn't, it would activate Siri. It's got a proximity sensor built into it. Just like when you hold your phone up to your ear and the light goes off. Haven't you ever noticed that on your iPhone? If you're in the middle of a call and it senses the proximity to your ear, the screen will go dark. 2 reasons. And think about this. This was Apple. Before this, there was Trios and Blackberries, and they thought of this because when the screen's off, your cheek won't hit the mute button, and the increased battery life of not having the light on. But that same proximity sensor, as it gets close to your head, it says, "I'm near his ear," and it will activate Siri. So you can be quiet about it. Of course, inevitably I do that, and then I pull it away here, and she starts speaking out the speaker. So, But you can use the headphones. The headphones are wonderful. They have a microphone in them. If you press and hold the headphone, it will activate Siri. And there's a microphone in that headphone, and it works fantastic. So, if you'll notice, I have a little reminder here that I set at 6 this morning that said, take a class break. It popped up 4 minutes ago because I told it to do it to me at 3:20 because I know we usually take a 3:30 break. So, I'm going to tell it to snooze because I just don't want to deal with it yet. It's actually came up on my Mac, it came up on my iPhone, and look at that, it came up on my iPad. All right? And since I just missed it, I said snooze on that, it snoozed it on the other devices. So that was a reminder. And we're going to talk about reminders and notes after the break, but I'll finish up with calendar. Because reminders or notes are pretty similar, but they're hugely powerful. So, are there any questions on calendar before we take a break? Make sure everything's synced, add things you want, play with the different customs and different things like that. What's the worst thing it's going to do? All I can warn you is don't schedule yourself a bunch of dentist appointments. Okay? I guess that's probably better than scheduling yourself a bunch of fun things and realize they're not really happening. So, you can cheat like I did and say test. So I'm just going to go over to our test 2 and delete it. And I'm going to delete all because I don't want test 2 to repeat on the 4th Friday or 3rd Friday, whatever the heck it is. Delete all. And I'll delete this one. And I simply click on it and hit the delete key. Bart?
On the notepad margin, I have it says on my Mac, and then I have all the different calendars.
Don't do anything on my Mac. We want to get rid of that. That's a holdout from the old days. Those got migrated over, and you might have duplicate events because of it.
Okay.
So I need to fix that.
So uncheck all that?
Yeah, or actually, I'll show you. If you hover around at the top, see I have on my Mac too? Watch if I hover. Yours is like this. It said show. If I go up here and click hide, I would deselect them first because then you don't click on them unless those are events that you need to have in your schedule. If there are things that you've scheduled that are going to affect your... The way you can check if it's on my schedule, just go over here and click this, turn it off, turn it on. Oh, yeah, those, I better not delete that calendar. So just go up here and say hide. And that's why it's important to have your default calendar set to the iCloud so you don't mistakenly make one on my Mac.
Because I have another one for me.com. So
Yeah, and what happened there is you had me.com. It migrated over to iCloud, I can fix your accounts for you. That's more of a personal, not personal, but a one-on-one kind of thing. All right? Go ahead.
I get when I open calendar, I get a notification that says calendar can't
two things. It could be because you're not connected on the internet. You have is
I get it every time. I don't know.
okay. Then you need to go into accounts and verify. Go into calendar preferences. Go to accounts and see if your correct password is in there. Because it'll sync with Google Calendar. You know, I talked to you guys earlier about how Gmail is great. I frankly think, so I told you I use Gmail for a lot of things. I may start using their calendar because there's some other apps that use their calendar. But for me, it's all about iCloud for calendar, reminders, and notes. It's huge for that. Okay? So you can use Google Calendar. In fact, that was the workaround I used for a lot of people that can't upgrade to Mountain Lion. That's how we get it to sync with all their iOS devices for the calendar, as I use Google Calendar. Okay, so we'll take about, well, my snooze hasn't. We'll wait till the snooze button comes up and tells us. Let me see. Okay, so before we break, I'll do the last bit of the Siri tricks. I can juggle, I can jump up and down. I'm the talking bear, I guess. So, to find out what Siri can do is you can say, what can I say? And watch the screen. Oops.
You can say,
Oh, I see. What can I say?
you can say things like,
Okay, now, if you see these, I can click on any of these, like launch photos. Tell Susan I'll be right there. If I tap on that, it gives me more information and more commands on what Siri can do. Okay? The little, yeah, I was just going to point that out. It's not in this, but when you hit Siri, what are you doing? Question mark.
trying to guess what you want me to do.
That's a new one. But I don't get the I. So when she comes up, actually, if I go here, now to activate Siri when I'm not using the head, I press and hold the home button until she comes up, and there's a little I, and that gives you the what can I say. Okay? So, Siri is also wonderful for give me directions to the Sacramento International Airport. Now this is where it's different.
Getting directions to Sacramento International
Since I have a
Airport.
headset on, she's going to automatically route me to the Sacramento Airport and start driving me there. Okay, it'll take a second.
Starting route to Sacramento International Airport.
Okay.
Head northeast on Encino Avenue.
The screen goes away, but if I tap the screen, I get to keep the ETA and all that up there. Find In-N-Out Burger on my route.
I found several places along your route. The nearest is an In-N-Out Burger. It's about a mile east. Would you like to call it, get directions, or skip to the next one?
Now see, because I have a headset, she automatically directed me. But let's look what happens on the iPad without a headset. Give me directions to Sacramento International Airport.
Getting directions to Sacramento International Airport.
So she'll give me some, oh great, the one that doesn't have any routes.
Starting route to Sacramento
Hang on.
International Airport. Head east.
Give me directions to Stockton, California. Yeah, right.
Getting directions to Stockton.
Oh, no extra routes. Well, on the phone, it will give you additional different routes. If you're on headset, it won't. So Siri is wonderful that, and as you go, she'll give you turn-by-turn directions. She uses very little data for the transmission of all this because it's just a little bit of voice and it's a little bit of text back to you. And the maps use a little bit of data also. The phone's using the GPS, but all I did is say, take me to Stockton, and then she does it. The phone itself has a built-in GPS. If you have a cellular version of the iPad, it has GPS built into it also, even if you haven't activated the cellular. But a cool fact with that is I don't keep this cellular activated, but if I did that route and I left here, even though I don't have Wi-Fi or anything, it will continue to give me my turn-by-turn directions. But I can't search Google or do anything else along the way, but it will continue to give me my directions. If I reroute, it won't. Okay. So I don't know where my snooze reminder has come back up, but let's go ahead and take a break. And we'll dig into notes and reminders. Yeah, it's snooze. I think it's a 10-minute snooze, so it's probably going to come up in about 2 minutes. Oh, I'll play the commercial again. I really like this commercial.
When you're done, I want to ask you a question.
Sure. Do you guys want that one about the apps again, or the commercial? The one about the apps that make a difference? Everybody saw that one? We'll play it later. And that's on the website, actually. Okie dokie. Yes.
I want to change the name, I just changed the name of this one from home to personal. But it still says.
Because you're not connected to the internet. Once this is connected to the internet, it will propagate over here and change.
Well, that wasn't my question. My question was, I don't have to change it here if I change it here.
Correct. Once you can.
Okay, but I wasn't able to change this one, I want to change this one to tiny instead of big. So
Just
I
like that.
typed it, when I did that.
Oh, you have an invitation. See the one?
Yeah.
So. Oh, it's a shared calendar.
Why is that?
Thank you, Sean. And this one lets you do it.
Yeah, I thought I did see how.
Oh. Let's try it. Oh, no.
sort of conflict with Fran Net, and I don't know what it would be. It's just that Fran no space Net. There's a conflict somehow. I wonder if that would be.
I'm fine. I'm
Good.
fine, as long as it's
I'm really good with
changed.
this. I'll sleep well tonight when we got it, because yeah, I think that's, but then what we want to do is we want to go back to.
What is this?
This is your color separation, in case you can choose your color.
Yeah.
That's why. So you go to that. You go to this.
Because before it came up as a circle.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, the.
I like the crayons.
Yeah, it's so much easier. And that comes up when you do. Yeah.
It's typical of stuff that would happen just
I think there's a thing out on the internet that says don't let Fran Net do anything, let Fran Space do anything. Yeah, I read about it. Mm-hmm.
Cost for Wi-Fi, cost for
Cellular.
I said before.
Well, just the difference between the two, Wi-Fi and cellular is $130 difference no matter which model and no matter what size.
We're talking about the cost in the equipment.
Correct.
I'm talking about operating.
Per month. You're on Verizon or AT&T? You're on AT&T.
And what am I paying? We fixed it, 30?
Yeah. So it varies on how you do your plan because you and your wife are on a plan. Easiest answer is contact AT&T. It could be as little as $10, or probably going to be around 20 or 25. Yeah, but you might have to go to shared data, and then you could do this other thing, and then it's only 10 a month. But my recommendation would be talk to. Well, no, you weren't ready for an upgrade yet, for a phone. So, but what you could do, since your wife's probably eligible for an upgrade, give her your phone, and you get the new one with Siri, using her upgrade status. Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's a family account. It's like when I upgrade every year because my mom has just a dumb phone. Right, so you'll be able to give her your phone. You'll have to upgrade her to data. You can't have anything. You can't have an iPhone on the system without data. They make you have data.
You can have minimal use.
Yeah, and it's like 15 or 20 a month extra for really light usage.
Okay, I'm limited to how much per month.
Let me see your phone. I can tell you.
No.
Let me go to the restroom real quick, and I'll be right back. Because AT&T will show us what it is.
she would use.
Type in your access code.
And I,
So,
That's why I don't tell them.
So you'll get a free text message here in a second that'll show what your data plan is from AT&T.
30 a month.
It won't show the price, it will show what's planned. Oh, you're on the unlimited plan, so you're grandfathered in with that. So you would probably be able to you need to talk to AT&T. Go to your local Woodland AT&T store and see what they say. If you can grandfather that into the newer iPhone and then give her this one and what it would cost. Okay, our little thing came up about taking a break. We're on a break. All right. Sean, thanks for getting this.
So it sounds like you're still active in the Mac group.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Barb's active. I'm on. That's
From the Mac group.
Oh yeah. Not the one in Sun City
Yeah.
or Lincoln Hills.
Yeah.
But it's also we have classes there that we do the first Saturday of every month.
Okay.
It's a $3. Well, yeah, the third also down at the food bank.
Yeah, that's really close to where I was.
Those are great. And then there's a Women in Technology Sisterhood. It's the second Saturday and they get to go to because it goes back to the days. In fact, the founder of MetaMax is a great lady. She founded it back then, guys, with testosterone about, well, that's heck, it didn't help the women and stuff. And this founded that, I mean, it was founded in 84. So they formed this Women in Technology Sisterhood. And so sometimes I'll go and help them and stuff. But if a guy comes up, they're called wits, and it's considered a half-wit. The guy's a half-wit. That's perfect. Oh, I think it's great. I don't mind it. I love it. They have a really good group.
Actually, some of those women I think come to, they just start doing surveys, secondary and regional technology alliance.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And they just started they're different groups that meet. Some are in green, some are in energy,
Right.
just different areas. And they started a Women in Technology, and it's a club. And I think what you
Is this people that work in technology?
Mhm.
This is more the Nexus people to help in their technology. They're not people that work in, most of them are retired. So these aren't people in the technology field. These are people that are trying to learn from one another how to use the Apple products and Macs and iPhone products.
Mhm.
So
It isn't a specific meeting, but I'll give you a couple of examples. So we have the coffee, and then last week, once a month they have what they call beer weeks.
Oh, cool.
So it's just a social kind of a thing.
Sean's here to beer crawl? No.
And it's new.
And it's networking.
It's
Too.
networking, and then they have a big event once a year where they give their awards, and we were talking about music. the guy who founded Pandora was one of the speakers a couple of months ago when we had the election.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's local.
I didn't know that. Pandora's about to become less relevant. I like Pandora. I like Pandora a lot, but I think
Yeah, when I saw that, that's the first thing I thought of was Pandora. They got a pretty good vibe.
Yeah, they have, but the problem with them, their biggest problem is the record industries and how they handle the whole licensing of the thing. Pandora has to pay if you skip a song. They pay as if you'd listen to the whole song.
Oh.
Now, come on. I mean, the record industry is as mobbed up as any big business, and it's really, really tough. And you know what? I find the disruptors are pretty good, but secondly, a long time ago when iTunes started becoming popular, of course, I'm the guy that said the iPod, who would ever pay $2.99 for an MP3 player? But I was wrong on that one. But they just hold a gun to the head to these artists, and the artists only make their money on the tour because they get so much upfront money and all that. But iTunes and these other music services has brought it back down to the level of they can make these acts popular without having to have a big record label behind them. And I think it's better for the artist because the licensing fee that Pandora pays, none of that gets to the artist. None of that gets to the artist at all. So, we were just talking real quick about Pandora. I didn't know it, but Carrie said that it's a local person. But if you love it, you're going to love iTunes Radio even more.
The guy who
It
started.
started Pandora.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, iTunes Radio will be coming out, we think, in the fall. And the way it works is, it's going to be very similar to Pandora, but you're going to be able to leverage iTunes with it and say, I'm listening to this song, I want to buy this song, do different things. And it will have some ads. Like if it's on your phone, you'll see ads. That's how they pay, because they have to pay the artists. They pay the record company. The artist might see a penny for these things that play. And Apple a while back came up with iTunes Match. If you have less than 25,000 songs in your iTunes library for $25 a year, you can send it up to the cloud. It will give you a higher version of it. It'll make it perfect. It'll give you amnesty for however you acquired that music. Doesn't matter. Yes, $25 a year. And it'll come down with album covers and everything out. It'll be available on all your devices. But the newest thing is, with iTunes Radio, if you have an iTunes Match, $25 per year subscription, you get no ads on iTunes Radio. And you'll have freedom to play everything.
What about talk radio?
Talk radio doesn't. No, there's tons of outlets for there's tons of outlets for talk radio, but if you think about it, there's no licensing on that or anything else. I do have some gems if we have time at the end after we've done notes and reminders that kind of touches on a few of those things. My snooze reminder kind of fired up here, so I'm going to hit close. All right. So, before we do reminders, notes is going to be very quick. And because notes is pretty darn simple. So, if you remember looking at iCloud, oh, come on. Keep me signed in. We have notes online at iCloud.com. We have notes on the Mac. And we have notes on our iOS devices. And there's a whole lot of leather stitching going on around here. That's called skeuomorphism. Thank goodness in iOS 7 they're going to get rid of this superfluous leather stitching around the edge. Believe it or not, that's kind of a Steve Jobs thing, but that was back a long time ago. He wanted the stitching to match what it was on his Gulfstream. So they labored hard and wide, but now it's going to get more of a cleaner interface. So notes is notes. It's great for note taking. And remember, anywhere we can type, anywhere we have a keyboard, as long as you have it, we have a microphone. Okay? So I'm going to call this class notes. Actually, I don't want to call it class notes. Sunday class, let's say. I typed it. Okay. So now, if I go over here to my iOS device and click on Notes up in the... I have to click because the iPhone's not as wide. I scroll down. Hopefully it'll sync here in a second. Let me get out of this. Go to Home Depot. Oh, look at on my iPhone, Sunday class showed up. Okay. On Notes on my computer, Sunday class showed up. On the iCloud, Sunday class showed up. That quick. These are not all connected together. They're connected to Maiden, North Carolina, to that big supercomputer where Siri lives. I guess she's geographically unacceptable for me too, but that's okay. We have a kind of a relationship. So that's where she lives. That's where this lives. All that stuff is on the cloud. But with Siri, it makes it super easy. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say, add screwdriver to my Home Depot note.
Okay, I updated your note.
So the name of the note is the first thing in the note, and in fact, I should have hit a space. Oops. I should have hit a space after Home Depot. Okay. So it goes to all of my different devices. In fact, the screen you're seeing is oh, that's iCloud. Heck. On the internet, I was able to get on early. You don't have as much leather stitching? On your computer? That was Safari. Here's Notes on your computer. Okay? There's no leather on your computer, but there's a torn edge at the top. Because we've never had a legal pad that didn't have a torn edge on it. So, I want to say, let's see, I had a Costco note. Where the heck is my Costco note? Oh, it didn't come over, I guess. You want an iPad? Are you... This is the iOS device. This is my iPad.
Okay.
I take that back. Yeah, that's my iPad. See, that's my iPad.
Okay, well then the next one I should, what's the bottom?
No, this is iCloud,
Right.
Safari, and then this is Notes on the Mac. And what you can do is, if you'll notice down here, this is your views. Just like in Calendar, or just like in Contacts, down below, if I click this, it goes back. See, it takes the tray in and out. Yeah, but this is on the Mac. So that's, and you guys, I got to say that that's the biggest thing about Mavericks and iOS 7, and that's what Johnny Ive, who you saw the video, is. That's going to make everything look the same. So let's not go too long on Notes, because Reminders is where everything happens. So add walnuts to my Sunday class note.
Okay, I updated your note.
There, walnuts right away, right? So you can do this with all kinds of notes, but notes is just a handy little reminder. You can't get really specific with it. So reminders is where it's at. So on your Mac, you should have an app called Reminders. And if I zoom my screen in, if it'll let me, it's this one right here. Okay? I'm going to actually quit notes behind it so we don't get too confused. We'll go to the cloud, reminders, and iOS device. Let's go to reminders on the iOS device. Launch reminders. Launch reminders. Why go looking for it? I let Siri do it for me. Oh, this is where I added Costco. So, I'm going to make a couple reminders manually, and I'd like you guys to follow along.
Why does it say the fifth?
Because that's the app I use for you to see my iOS devices. So, the majority of us are looking at our Mac first. If you guys want to do it on the Mac first, let's do reminders on the Mac first. Okay. So, here's my, I'm going to say hide others. All right, I have the reminders app up. This is on the Mac. Does yours look similar to this?
Yes.
Great. So, the plus down here, like everything else, is going to do what?
Add something.
Add a new something. What we can do first, though, is let's go up to File, and let's make a new list. Do not make it on my Mac. Make it on iCloud, and there's a new list. And we're going to call this Sunday.
When you say don't make it on your Mac, how do you do it?
Does on your Mac an option there?
No, just.
Then don't worry about it.
Alright.
Mine had an option. Bart's probably got an option for on my Mac there. So you want it to be on the cloud, okay?
How do I know if it is or isn't?
If it doesn't have an option, it will be. Good question, though. So has everybody made a new list and called it Sunday, let's say? Up to File.
Even if I'm not Supplies not working.
Go up to new. Did you do new list? Which one was it? No, why don't you put it? Don't hit red dots. And don't be jumping. Go up to File. Go up to File.
Just destroy your
And see there? iCloud. Click on iCloud. Okay? Call it Sunday if you want, or anything else.
Can we collapse this one like we did the other? No.
And
So in my reminders, then I have a thing that I call reminders. So is that just double talk or?
yeah, that was kind of the original list, so it doesn't matter. It's essentially just those are list names over here.
Okay.
Okay? Like my original one was work for, I don't know why it came up with that. Oh, you know where it got that from? The original one got it? Yours got it from calendar, because calendar used to have our reminders.
Oh, okay.
Remember it had reminders and to-dos?
Yeah.
That kind of came in through the import. My calendar I was using was work, so it automatically called my first list work. But we're devoid of that now. Instead of integrating it into the calendar, they've peeled it off and made it separate from the calendar, and I think it makes a heck of a lot more sense because there's more things you can do with it. Because, let's think about this a second. We're going to make a list. A list? Oh, you guys got it? Oh, let's
I
hang
need
on.
to name mine Sunday.
Click on it one time where it says new list, two. No, click right in the middle where the words are. One time. Now type Sunday.
I've got too many of these. How do I get?
Don't worry about it. Just click on new list. Click on one of them. Click on the words itself. Over on the word. No, over here. On these words, click once. Now just type Sunday. You can edit the titles over there. Okay. So, we can make a list that's just a list of things that you intend to do, right? A to-do list, a maybe list, a gift list, a shopping list. So that list could just grow and grow and grow. But there's certain tasks or things that are time sensitive. So we can make it say, remind me on Tuesday that I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday. Kind of weird and redundant, but you could say, on Wednesday, remind me to take out the trash. Remind me to feed the cat. Only gets fed once a week.
Poor cat.
Or I can say, I can have it location based. When I get home, remind me to take out the trash. So we have 3 criteria. One with essentially no parameters, one that's time-based, and one that's location-based. Perfect example would be right here. When I leave here, remind me to call Mom. So as I get to my car, about 300 feet away from here, a reminder will pop up and say, call Mom. So let's look how we make a reminder manually, and then we're going to have Siri do it. It's the same on all the devices. So I made a list because I want to have different reminders. I want to have a shopping list, a work, a Home Depot reminder list. So my to-do list is now in a binder, and I have different to-do lists in my binder, right? So Sunday. Click on the plus click on the one of the doesn't matter what it's named, but click on one of the lists you've just made and click on the plus sign here in the upper right. Type in anything. Feed the cat. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Who's not? If you're not here, raise your hand. When I hover my cursor over it and click on it, I get a little I information symbol on the side here. If I click on that, I have some options. Right now it has no priorities and it has no time or no place, correct? So let's start first. Well, first of all, you can see different priorities. High, low, medium, and you have a note. You can type anything you want in the note. But let's say I'm going to remember to feed the cat, so I click on a day. So I'd like you to click on a day. And now we get this familiar calendar down below. So I'm going to remember Tuesday the 25th to feed the cat. Pick any day. You have to click on the date. First you say on a day and then click on the date. Then pick the day from the calendar, just select the day. And then come over to the time and you could say 6 p.m.
How about if it doesn't matter, just one on that day?
Then you wouldn't, so then what you do is, hang on. Let me turn it off. You know, I don't know if it has an all-day event. See, it's you're telling it not that it wants you to remind you have a dentist appointment at 3 p.m. You're asking it what time do you want it to remind you. See the difference?
My question was, if I want to feed the cat, but it doesn't matter, but I need to feed the cat next Saturday, how do I put that in?
When do you want it to remind you on next Saturday?
Oh, I don't want it to be reminded.
Then don't put a date on it. Otherwise, make it an all-day event in the calendar and then set an alert. I see what you're going with, and there's no way to do an all-day event in reminder because you want it to keep popping up every 3 minutes. But to be honest, remember how my event popped up and I hit snooze?
Yeah.
You could have it start at, say, 10 a.m., and it would continually remind you until you get rid of it. Okay.
So if you just wanted the reminder next Saturday,
You have to tell it what time for the first time to remind you.
okay.
But it could be telling you about an all-day event, but you can't have an all-day reminder that unless you just keep it in snooze. Okay? But that's where you would put it in your calendar as an all-day event and then say, give me an alert, because they're kind of the same. They don't have a snooze function. So let's go ahead and hit done. So now we have an event that's going to remind me today at 5 p.m. to feed the cat. We'll just be breaking down in here about then. So let's go up and make a new event by hitting the plus sign.
How is it
New
going to
event or new
remind me?
reminder?
I'm sorry?
New event or new reminder?
A new reminder event. I'm sorry. A new reminder. I'm sorry. And I'm probably still saying iCal, right? Thank you, both of you. See, paying attention.
How is it going to remind me via a message?
You remember? Did you see the little thing that popped up for me that said class break, snooze? That's how it pops up.
So if this is in
Well,
the
so
Google
let's
My
reset.
Card,
Let's reset this one. Let's go back and edit it. Let's have it do it for 4:15. Okay. So I'm going to go back to that reminder and hit the little I, and I'm going to change it to 5. Oh, I'm sorry. 4:15. Oops. 1:5. All right. So I'll hit done. So now we're going to see in a few minutes how that reminder pops up. While we're waiting for that, let's add a new reminder. And I'm going to say, take out the trash. Okay? So we want that. Go ahead and hover over and hit the I.
You can double click in the line.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So you can't, yes, you can double click on the event. Just don't click on the checkbox that's coming up.
No, in the middle of the whole line.
Click on add a location. And once we do add a location, our choice is whether we're arriving or leaving the location when we want to get reminded. So I want to remember to take out the trash when I get home. Home. And look at that. It filled in my address. But not when I leave, when I arrive. Bart?
Okay, when I hit location, another little thing says, reminders would like to use your current location.
Great question.
Allow or okay.
Allow.
Allow?
Allow.
Okay.
Because while the GPS, there's not really much of a GPS in your Macs, it uses Wi-Fi and stuff. It's important on the iOS device, which we're going to go do an event or do a reminder in a second. But then click, it gets home out of my address book. But look what happens when I say current location. It fills in where I am right now. And right here isn't in my address book.
What if we do, you touch that drop down arrow and nothing else appears?
Start typing home. Click in the box and type home and see. And if not, you need to update your My Card in contacts.
No, but mine's there. But,
Mine is.
okay, mine.
You may not-
Like yours, but on the drop down there, when I go back up there, there is no other choice but home. See, it put it in, but here, there's nothing.
Click on, deselect on location. Up top. Now try it again. And you may not be connected to the computer. Well, that doesn't mean you've got internet. It just means you have Wi-Fi.
Oh, I
I'm
see.
gonna go to my card on the contacts.
That's where it derives it from.
And that's,
Yeah, you're not the. Hey, Bart's the Apple Store.
yeah.
Contact says he's the Apple Store, so if you need any Apple stuff, go see Bart.
But yet I know I have me as,
It's a thing.
Well, use the other home. Well, you don't have your my card.
I have
See,
a thing
that
that
was
says
something in
me.
contacts. We made sure we had in contacts.
To me.
A my card. You have contacts. We did contacts last class.
Can you look over my shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did yours come out with location?
But I actually
You know what? See that
The way that I wanna use this is to, this is the Excel spreadsheet I was
when I
telling
went
you about.
to card,
So if there's a,
it said
what,
my
these are the
card.
things I have to do tomorrow.
To go to my
I
You
don't
can't
need-
import them now.
Just go
No,
to
I
my
know I can't
card.
afford them. I don't want
Because
bells
something's
going
totally
off,
different.
reminders coming up.
And I
I
don't
just
get that.
wanna
I get
know
the Apple Store.
that these are the tasks I have
Okay.
to do.
All right.
So
But
if
I
I
do
put
have
those in
under
here,
bar box over here, I have.
Can you turn off alerts and reminders?
yeah,
Let's look. I think you can.
Oh wait, no, I don't have.
So Carrie says, can we turn off the the ping and all that? Let's just check here.
so in other words, can the reminders be used as a to-do list?
Okay, now I
If
have
you
to do that.
don't
Now I-
set,
Did it work?
I went to that card thing and I said.
if you don't set any of the locations or the times, yeah, it's just a list. So it wouldn't know when to go off.
See that now,
And
populates.
if you even do, if you set up, do like.
Are the locations of the times automatically set?
No, if you don't choose. So okay, here's what came up. Let's look at this. So far we've made one by a location and one by time. So I'm going to hit another one and just say
Now,
to-do list.
under,
Boom.
remind-
I made the event. I made the reminder. It has no time based and it has no location based.
Never knew what reminder-
So it will not alert anything.
But does it have a date?
It has the date you made it.
How about if you wanted on the date that you want to do it?
I think you'll get a reminder then. That's I haven't encountered that one. That's interesting. So, oh, look at this. Hey, we got to feed the cat. It's bouncing up all over the place. So, feed the cat popped up.
Why didn't it come up?
Did you have a? Oh, you may not be on the internet.
No, I'm on the internet.
Are
You
you?
do the right time for 4:15.
Yeah.
4:15 p.m.
Well, I got your reminder. How's that?
Maybe it's because it's
So I can close it or snooze it. I'm just going to close it. And then it makes it go away on my other. So Carrie, you know what? Let me research that one for you because I've never thought of that and it makes sense.
4:16.
Okay.
Let me make a note. No beep reminders.
So, Ken,
Hang on one sec.
that'll come up on other devices too?
If you're on the internet, you may not be connected. All right. So I don't know why I'm in calendar. I need to be back in reminders. There we go.
Oh, it does when I hit Sunday. But if I hit reminders in iCloud, that's what.
Okay. So we've made these 3 different ways, but let's show you how tough it is to do with Siri. Are we okay there? We got it? No? Yes?
Should, I'm saying, this is only using 3G, so. should
Yeah, but
we
your
do-
computer might not. You haven't made the my card.
I got the
You need to
reminder.
put you and make it a my card. That we can do.
We did get the reminder here, but it didn't come up here.
Interesting. It will. Give it time.
It's past 4:15, the cat's dead now.
Yeah, if the cat doesn't eat at 4:15, the cat's going to die. I should have picked a better one. All right. So if I go to my iPhone and I'm on Sunday. So you guys, here's my iPhone. Add a reminder, take my cat out Sunday at 4. Oh, geez, hang on.
What was
Add take the cat outside to my Sunday reminder at 4:30.
You don't have a take the cat outside to my Sunday list. You do have these, though. Tap the one you'd like to use. What should I add to your Sunday list?
Take the cat outside at 4:30 p.m. But only if the cat
Okay,
ate.
I can add this to your Sunday list and reminders. Take the cat outside at 4:30 p.m. Shall I go ahead?
Confirm.
I've added it.
I did the context for getting it on the Sunday list a little too much. But if you'll notice, in a minute here, we'll have another one show up on my iPad, which is what we're viewing right here on the screen. Oops, I take that back. That's the computer. There it is. Take the cat outside at 4:30 p.m. All right. Once you've got these events up, in fact, let's look at the iOS device. It's the exact same screen. It's no different. If I hit the plus in the upper right, that comes up and I type in the reminder. Okay. But what do all these check boxes mean? Oh, I need to go to the Sunday one. So there's take the cat outside. Now, what do you think happens if I hit the check mark?
That's the accomplishment.
Did you guys hear that? Bart said yes. So what happens if I hit the check mark? It's done. So let's say I have a reminder to take out the trash every time I get home. Once I've done it, I don't want it to pop up every time I get to my house. So I would hit and say, take out the trash. Now, think of this in a shopping list concept. If I go up to my shopping list and I say, add soap to my shopping list reminder.
Okay, I can add this to your shopping list and reminder. I've added it.
Add toothpaste to my shopping list reminder.
Okay, I can add this to your shopping list and reminders. I've added it.
Add motor oil to my shopping list reminder.
Okay, I can add this to your shopping list and
Okay, so now I have things in my shopping list, and as I go to the place where I'm going to look at my shopping list, once I get toilet paper, I can say, check, I got toilet paper. Up, check, I got soap. And check, I got toothpaste. Or, if I didn't need toothpaste this time, I could have left it checked from last time. But it's unlikely every time I go to the store I'm going to need motor oil. It was an anomaly. It was a one-time deal. So if I tap on that reminder and come on over here and just hit delete. Delete. The difference between checking it just means it won't remind you. It still shows up on the list. Deleting it gets it off the list completely.
So,
Bart?
So what you're thinking is that next time, these are things that are commonly bought. So next time you just uncheck them before you go shopping, and then you just
Uncheck the ones I need
yeah.
before I go shopping.
Yeah.
And then once I've checked off everything I need, or you can go get the app called Grocery IQ, which is wonderful. It scans the barcodes of the different items, and you can align it by the aisles in your grocery store and things like that. But go ahead.
Now I have another question. When I talk to Siri, so put in my reminders, blah blah blah. Will it put it on my Mac or my .me.com or in my iCloud, or do I have to be specific which subset of I have these three different.
When we made the list, we made it on the iCloud, And if we go to, it's going to be iCloud only. Yes.
By default, it'll
Yes,
always be
it will be iCloud only.
Because we made it as an app.
But let's go to settings. So go to your gray gear on your iPhone or iPad. Sorry, Siri, take a break. So go to settings. And if you'll notice now, we have reminders. Okay, right up here. Click on reminders. And that's where you set the default account.
No, the text reminder, but then,
Did you tap reminders?
yeah, and sync and default or something.
Uh-huh. So tap on default. And I've made lists, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, in other words, if I do not delineate or tell her what list to put it on, she's going to put it on the work list. Okay? But remember, I added all the toothpaste and everything else to the shopping list.
So you have to tell it, add to my shopping list in reminders.
Or the way I did it there is add toothpaste to my shopping list. And she knows enough to say to do it to that.
Will you back up one?
One screen?
Yes, please. Where it says sync reminder 1 month back. Why?
Okay.
Why not hit all reminders?
You can. It'll what it is if it's a time-based reminder and you completed the task a month ago, it's going to drop it off to just make more space. They don't take up a lot of room. If it's not a time-based reminder, it won't take it off because it didn't have an end date and you never hit check mark. So you can set this however you want. It's not bad, and when that says syncing, it means between all your devices. So yeah, in this case, yeah, you might want to do it as all the time or at least in 6 months.
Because it was something that you want to remember that you did, and if you deleted it,
That would be on your calendar. Probably, yeah, on your to-do list too. So say all reminders.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And when I just clicked one of the reminders that I put in there, it disappeared. It didn't stay checked.
When you clicked it, it
There's a
disappeared.
little box, I put a little check mark in there.
Oh, it's under your completed tasks now.
Right, but only when you were talking about the shopping list, you said that it would stay there.
Oh,
So how do you mark
Yeah,
it
hang on.
completed but not?
Yeah, you know
Mine
what?
also did the same thing when I clicked,
So get Grocery IQ. No, hang on.
and it just went away.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
And then you go up to completed, and oh, there's my feed the cat.
Yeah, but you know what?
Stay there.
That's a flaw in that. I'm sorry. Well, that will stay there as long as you do the sync thing. Oh, but okay, so we're in completed. Let's take toothpaste uncompleted, soap uncompleted, toilet paper uncompleted, and take out the trash. And let's see if it came back to shopping list. That's a little bit of a kludgy workaround. But to me, the beautiful thing is I can input it from Siri. I can be on the way to the store and say, don't forget to pick up green beans. Add it to my shopping list. So I'm glad you pointed that out, and I hardly ever hit my completed, and the way to do it is go to completed and deselect them, and it puts them back on the list they came from.
Right, so what's the point of having the check? You can't check it and then continue to look at it. If you check it, it goes into completed.
Are you talking about in a shopping list situation, or it's somewhere, or in another situation?
On the reminders,
No, but I mean, are you using it as a shopping list or just as a to-do reminders?
to do reminders.
Then don't select it. The whole idea is the check mark means you've completed it. The shopping list is a bit of an aberration from that. So if it's your to-do list, you wouldn't.
I understand what you're saying, but on yours, when you checked it, it stayed there.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. It did just like yours. So
Mine
here,
went to completed, mine went to completed.
and then go up to completed,
Yeah, all right.
and now uncheck them in completed,
Understand.
and they go right back to your list. And that's for the shopping list situation. Or let's say all of a sudden, oh, I didn't know that task I thought was completed a week ago, I have to go back and start it. If you uncheck it and complete it, it moves back to the list that it was on.
And is there a way to delete the completed stuff?
Correct. Yes. All you do, whether you check it completed or not, if you tap on it in completed or in shopping list, if you tap on the event itself, I'm sorry, the reminder itself,
Yeah.
you always have delete. And I prefer that over checking things usually. I just usually delete it from my list. Or if you're on an iOS device, instead of going through all that, you just swipe to the right. I swipe to the right and that comes up.
Also go to,
Bart?
So I have under reminders in the iCloud, it said make a poster, and I checked it off. It didn't go into complete. It just stayed there checked.
Did it have a time or anything on it?
No.
It might go away. It takes a minute or two. If you check it, it should go to completed.
Well, it was also. I also said when I arrive home.
Oh, but see, that's because that's
So now when I arrive home and
no. If it's checked, it won't pop up. If it isn't checked, it will pop up when you arrive home. And it's better on an iPhone because the GPS is on all the time.
yeah.
Your iPad won't necessarily be connecting all the time.
So let's say I get home, it reminds me, hey, make this poster. Then I go into reminders and I put a check. Then
Oh,
when
you
I go
don't.
to complete
You don't. Yeah, it will. You can hit close, but you have to check it, and then after that, it won't pop up anymore.
Okay.
Once you've checked it or deleted it, obviously, it will not remind you again. But let's say the trash is once a week, and you want to remember. You can on Friday you're at work and you're I got to take the trash out, so you tap it and tell it to activate again, and when you get home, it will activate.
I was just wondering why when I checked something else, it went into completed. When I checked this off.
Yeah, it's interesting because of the location thing, and I haven't encountered that. So,
Okay.
like I said, I usually just delete the thing.
Okay, and you just swipe to the right.
Oh, let me look, because you know what I have? This is interesting because let's see if it went to completed. Yeah, see these things right here
That little,
were always ones that would pop every time I drove to my house.
right.
And I finally put a check mark on them, and they did go to complete. It may take a little while.
Okay.
And it may be GPS based too.
Maybe it's
So it will go
not
there.
Home yet. It doesn't say, well, you haven't arrived home, so I'm not going to take it into.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it has to do the cycle or not, or whether it's, again, the slow internet too.
Okay. I'll just keep the check and see if it goes into.
So, some interesting uses of this. I was heading down Highway 99 a few months ago, and I happened to see this sign, and it said Royce Farms Barbecue. A neat looking sign, and I thought, oh, well, shoot, it's in the morning on the way back from San Jose. I might want to stop there. Did you guys, did I tell this one yesterday?
Yep.
I told it yesterday? Okay. Well, Sean and I decided it wasn't a good barbecue, so we'll skip that. But anyway, I'm going down the road, and I just said, when I get here, remind me. Oh, I'll give you a good example. I do some technical work for these kiosks that the DMV has, where you can go in and it's like a big ATM machine. You can do your registration all automated right there. I did some spot work I do for those, and it's pretty neat. I get called about once a week is all. It's a little 10-minute job. But I have to check in and check out with a little place on the internet with an app. And so what I've done is I've set a reminder, and when I arrive at the DMV, the one time I said, when I get here, which seems a little weird, I said, when I get here, remind me to check in. And I also said, when I leave here, a second reminder, when I leave here, remind me to check out. And so now, as I arrive at each of the 3 DMVs in Sacramento that I service, because they're the only ones that have this little kiosk, as I pull up, a little reminder pops up and says, remember to check in. And I immediately go to my app, like it tells me to do, pop it in, and leave. Now, you can also, if you receive a phone call, it will set a reminder. Sean, can you give me a jingle if you don't mind? Could use Siri. So look at on my phone here, and look at this phone icon in the lower right. If I press it and slide it up, I can say, remind me later when I leave or when I get home or in 1 hour. So I'll just say 1 hour for now. Now the coolest thing is, in 1 hour it'll pop up, or when I leave here, I could have been in a meeting, and when I leave here, it'll pop up and say, remember to call Sean. And it won't automatically call him, but the reminder will pop up on the screen, and it will say, there at 5:33 p.m. it'll say call Sean. But the coolest thing is, it will then pop up, since Sean's in my address, or actually because it has his phone number, it'll say, do you want me to call Sean? And you tap it, and it'll say, it'll call Sean. So how many times have you been doing something and you, I got a phone call, slide that up, say, remind me later. Or you're sitting in a meeting or you're at dinner and you say, oh God, I got to remember to do something when I leave here. Just set a little reminder. Remind me when I leave here. Or remind me at 3 o'clock. Okay. For making reminders, Siri is the best. So, when I get home, remind me to take out the trash.
Here's your reminder for when you get home. It says, take out. Okay, I'll remind you.
At 4:45, remind me to feed the cat again.
Here's your reminder for today at 4:45 p.m. It says, feed the cat again.
Okay.
Shall I create it?
Confirm.
Okay, I'll remind you.
So we learned how to put all that entry in by hand when Siri does a better job of it. And it works on your iOS device. We think maybe Siri's coming to the Mac, but you still might have to put it in by hand. But that doesn't matter, because if you do it on your iOS device, it's going to propagate over to your Mac. And if we go here, work was my default, you'll notice, there it is. And there was the reminder to call Sean back. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go adjust that reminder for 4:40. And you'll see what the callback reminder looks like on my phone when it comes up. Okay. Any questions on reminders? To me, it's hugely useful, but it's only because I forced myself to start using it.
I feel guilty borrowing.
You can borrow, well, actually, when we were watching that iOS 7 thing, there's going to be a male voice in Siri for in iOS 7. There is currently, if you change your phone to British, it's a British proper gentleman speaking, but then you, of course, when it spells color, it's going to be C-O-L-O-U-R, right? Or favorite. But she has a much more lifelike voice. But I think that's part of the beauty of Siri, is that she has a personality. You know, she isn't just this. It's kind of the same thing with Apple. They always make this rubber banding effect, and they do things that just kind of let you embrace it. And Siri is really easy to embrace. And, you know, she's got a little bit of spunk to her and different things. And I think it eases us into the technology, and the people that are especially technophobic, it makes it easier for them. So, any reminders, questions? Let me make sure I've covered everything I wanted to on reminders. Set location, lists, reminders. Again, you can make as many lists as you want and let Siri navigate to those lists. but you have a default list normally. If you just want to make yourself some notes, use the Notes app. You can just, and remember the headline, the first word or sentence on your notes is the title of that Notes app. And I can go to Siri and say, add class schedule, let's say. Add such and such to my class schedule note instead of reminder, and she adds to that. So notes and reminders are very powerful, but the biggest thing is it syncs across all your devices. I've got a couple gems I wanted to share. That was the last part of the class. First off, there are 2 deals right now on phones, iPhones. Well, first of all, the rumor is that there'll be, it's weird. It's been really, really quiet. So I think there might be some stuff getting ready to happen, or there might be big stuff happening, but we feel pretty certain there'll be like an iPhone 5S come out in the fall. And it'll probably look the same, be fast, and there's going to be some other bells and whistles that's going to force someone like me to have to go buy it. I already have the 5. The 5 was an improvement over the 4S, but I told people if they had the 4S, there wasn't a huge reason to go to the 5. Most people on phones are on a 2-year cycle because that coincides with the contract they have with their carrier. So, the 4 is dead to me because it doesn't have Siri. Because when we're mobile, it makes it so much easier, and plus it's this little device that's with us all the time, and I want to be able to input to it. And I always describe this to people as this is a computer that happens to make phone calls. The camera upgrade from the 4S to the 5 wasn't huge. But they're now making it very economical, where, for the time being, you can take an iPhone 4 or a 4S, but I don't recommend a 4S, into Best Buy. You get at least a $150 gift certificate to buy an iPhone 5 for $149.99, so you get a penny back. I'll caution you. I'm sorry?
That's a big deal.
It's a great deal. A free iPhone 5! You will have to pay tax. Call Sean back. Let's see if it came up on my phone. Didn't. Because when it comes up on the phone, it'll say, it'll give me the chance to call his number. Anyway, you will pay about $50 in tax because the tax in California is based on the full price of the phone. Now, you're going to have to sign up for a new 2-year agreement. And the reason they suck you into a 2-year agreement is because otherwise you're going to pay $650 for the phone. Because that's how much AT&T and Verizon pay Apple for the phone is $650. So that's why you pay $50 in tax or so. 50, 55.
I had to call them because I didn't understand that. And then I said, the tax you on the higher support.
But it's actually, so it'd be like if you go in and get something that's rebated, it's because essentially a rebate, it's subsidization. So what they do is they always base it on the price it sells for, not the price of the rebated amount.
But it says
It's only one of 2 states that do that, but it's California.
the
So
tax shouldn't be that high. And then he said, well, it's based on your highest price of the phone.
Of course.
that's what they pay for the phone.
Yeah, they
You know?
didn't say that though, and so you get your bill and you go, whoa, that's not what a tax is.
So that's a pretty good deal. If you have a 4S though, they might give you more for it. We can look up what a 4S is going for. As an example, last October when I got my iPhone 5, I sold my iPhone 4S. It was a 32 gigabyte that I had bought for $299 plus tax, and I sold it for $425. And I got the new one for $299. So I'm laundering phones now. But it was
Get for
great.
mine.
I'm looking it up right now. So you have a AT&T or Verizon. Verizon doesn't have as high a resale value unless it's the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5 in Verizon is the best phone in the world to go to other countries and everything else where you can put SIMs in it. Better than AT&T, better than all the others because it's unlocked and it has more bands, but that's geeky. So we're going to go to an iPhone 4 on Verizon, and yours is a 16 gig, I assume. You paid $199 for it, probably.
Got it. I got it so long ago, who remembers?
So $70. So I think the Best Buy deal is a great deal for you. Okay? But let's look at a 4S. A 4S on AT&T, 16 gig, $205. The reason it's worth more on AT&T is because the people can use that phone in other parts of the world because it uses a GSM, a SIM card. It's geeky, but they can use it on T-Mobile and stuff. But the iPhone 5 is fantastic from Verizon, and going forward it will be a great world phone. The 4S you couldn't even use in Europe, or the 4 especially. So Best Buy is a good deal. Walmart has the iPhone 5 for $129 and the 4S for $39, and that's not a bad deal either, remembering that you can sell your old 4 for more than that. Now, I always tell people when you're looking, okay, Ken, do I buy the 4S or the 5? You're going to spend $80 difference probably between the two. I tell people don't think about what you need today, think about what you're going to need 2 years from now when you're at the end of that contract. And spend the extra money and get it on the 5 because we just saw the difference in the price between a 4 and a 4S was about $150 in resale, wasn't it? Same thing will apply between a 5 and a 4S when you go to sell it 2 years from now. So you're paying the extra money now, but you're likely to get it back in resale if you do get it. Now, these are all under contract. Sprint, Verizon, and Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T, but Virgin Mobile and some of the other carriers now have other plans where you can pay for the phone outright and not have a 2-year contract. You pay $650 or $550 for the phone, you get a contract. Virgin has it where you pay monthly for the phone along with your service, but still no contract. But you're still hooked in for the price of the phone. You're going to have to use a service anyway. I used to hate being under contract. I kept waiting for the phone of the year to come out, the phone of the century and all that. And I stayed off contract on AT&T for the longest time. And as soon as the iPhone came out, I said, sign me up. I had been off contract for over 9 years. And, it's just because it's so useful. And, I think all of you know, you have the phone. It's just, think back to the days before you had the internet with you all the time. Yeah. And then on the phone, the old phones, even trying to get on the internet on those. So I think the 5 is going to have a lot of future proofing in it. So you're going to be able, when iOS 8 comes out, it'll probably be supported on the 4S, but it'll probably drop off after that. There's no huge advantage on the 5 over the 4S. Who knows what the 5S is going to have. The other part of the rumor is that there's going to be an inexpensive, I guess that's all relative, phone come out that'll be a plastic iPhone, possibly in colors, that'll be a more reasonable price because the U.S. is one of the few places where they have this whole contract thing and the phone's expensive. So this would open up the rest of the world to have, say, a $100 iPhone or a $200 iPhone with no contract, full price, versus the $650. Bless you. Versus the $650 that the iPhone is now. Okay. So if you have any questions on that, I always know where the deals are on that. I've got a couple gems I want to show you on the iPhone. How many here are photographers? Anybody know what the best camera in the world is?
One you have with
The one you have with you, which is usually the iPhone. Al Tribbett told me about this app, and it's wonderful, and it's called TPE. I take a lot of sunrise and sunset shots, and this is a really cool app. Oh, it's trying to load the... That shows where I am superimposed over a map, the angles of the sunrise and the sunsets and the golden hour and everything else. Gosh, I want to say it was $1.99 or something like that. But if you're a photographer and you want to know when the golden hour is, the hour before sunset and the hour after sunrise, that works out really, really, really well.
What's the name again?
TPE, and it's the photographers, and you heard it earlier, ephemeris. Thank you. I just remember femoral artery. The other one that's really cool is Yahoo Weather. And it's very close to what iPhone 7 is coming out. It's a free app. And if you look up here, iOS 7 when it comes out. Sorry. Oh, here in Monterey. Great shot. All right. So if you look up on the screen. Now, that's not all you get. You slide up, and you get the weekly forecast. And you slide up more, and you get some more details. And you even get the radar, which is always pretty hard on the phone. And then precipitation, which is nice because I haven't seen any of the other apps show precipitation, wind, and pressure. And then you have the sun and the moon. Do here? It gets these pictures from Flickr. This is Yahoo Weather. It's free. So that's a wonderful, wonderful app. Now, I hope you all know that on your Maps program, on your iOS device and on your Mac, that traffic shows up. You have the ability to see traffic. So if I go to Maps, obviously there shouldn't be too much traffic today, but you hit this little tab in the bottom, and actually you'll notice, oh, look, there is some traffic. Oh, great, there's some traffic. Right over there on 80. Oh, yeah, because everybody's going home from the Sierras, right? So that shows you traffic. And when it routes you, it takes that traffic into consideration. I think we also saw there was an incident down here at Florin Road. So if I tap on that, it's a hazard. And there's a description. Okay? Very, very useful, and it's real time, and it's live.
That is something with the iPad.
Correct, as long as you're connected. But I have another little app from the CHP, because sometimes, you know, you drive by something and you wonder what's happening, and it's the CHP app. And frankly, it pulls up, it does your regular location. Use this in the winter a lot to see if there's chain requirements over the Sierra. But here's all the different events that are going on, and you can tap on it. If you listen to KFBK or 650, Armstrong and Getty, iHeartRadio, it's a free app, and it's live streaming radio from them. But better than that, who here has never used a podcast or doesn't know what it is, a podcast? All right. To me, it's the biggest thing in the iPhone that came out, and it is podcasts. So I can go in to Armstrong and Getty, or actually Clark Howard. Who listens to Clark Howard? Okay, Clark Howard's great. I listen to him whenever because he's not on KSTE anymore. So I get his podcast. It's free. So I go to the podcast app. Well, launch podcast. Oh, this is Handel on the Law. He's pretty funny too. But if I go here to my podcasts, there's Clark Howard, and I can subscribe to it. And whenever there's a new episode of his program, it gets downloaded automatically to my phone or to my iPad. But the best part is, How many minutes is that? How many minutes is that? 34 minutes. That's an hour-long show. I don't have to hear the commercials. Time's pretty precious. You're sitting in your car. You're waiting for your oil to get changed. But even better than that, I'll start playing him. Oh, that's Handle on the Law. We'll go to Clark Howard.
Ryan, I got a 6-month assignment for you.
I knew it. All right.
I want you to, without, if you can, without revealing that you are interested in going into this business yourself.
Sure.
Go to. I don't care if they have you taking out the trash. I don't care if they have.
Okay, first,
when you
here's regular speed.
In at buying a restaurant franchise,
I'm going to play it back at 1 and a.
Brochures look really impressive. The revenue streams they promise are very exciting. But until you get inside,
it's off the screen.
and know what's
That's
happening
1.5
there
speed.
are several things you accomplish.
So instead of spending
Without
34
having,
minutes, I'm spending
every stop
20-something
come
minutes
up with
listening to it.
$170,000 to $288,000. Open the doors.
I can hit
and
back,
actually
etc.
involved. There are 7
Podcasts are
One,
very,
without
very, very useful. They have it for everything. I listen to some tech podcasts. That's how I keep up on a lot of the tech information. TWIT, This Week in Tech. Leo Laporte, he's fantastic. Andy Anaka, who we've had at Mac Nexus, comes to those, and he's on that all the time.
He does an iPad.
Yep. And they little tips and things. What's that? Podcasts. It's an app. It's actually, you can go into iTunes on your computer, or now on your iOS device, there's a separate app called Podcast. Yep, they've changed it. It used to be part of it. Podcasts. There's the little logo. Now, how many of you have seen these little QR codes? Okay. So, you made one? Yeah. Your phone has a camera. It can read those QR codes, okay? So, it just looks at it, it reads it, and tells you what it is. But better than that, you can shop around with a thing called Shop Savvy or even the Amazon app and scan the barcode of the electronic device or the cereal box, and you can get all the information. But secondly, you can price shop it. Shop Savvy or Amazon. Yeah, I don't have this one on the screen. Okay. Hang on, let me get it back on the screen if I can. There we go. So I'll go to QR code. QR.
If you're in an organization, it's a great way to QR code.
No, it's a free app. So I'm holding it over it. Oh, bad lighting in here. Sean, can you boost the lights? Just my front one, if you don't mind. That's a pretty small QR. Wow.
So all the posters I had made, but bigger so people walk by.
The lighting is so good. Well, it's because of the lighting. Anyway, it scans it and it takes it. A QR code will get you to a website. So that's QR code reader is the one I have. There's QR Pro. The other thing is, if you're on diets and things, many of the apps will let you scan the food barcode and put those ingredients in, and things like Epicurious will let you figure out all the calories and things like that. So for me with carbs, in fact, because I'm on this low-carb diet, have been for a while, so I'll just ask Siri, how many carbohydrates in asparagus?
I'm on it.
She's on asparagus.
Okay, Ken, here you go.
And then 3.3 grams was the result. Okay, and all the information. Or I can say search the web. Search the web for something. What time is sunset?
Sunset will be at 8:32 p.m. today.
Sunset varies wherever in the world you are.
She knows where you are.
She's my Yep, she got my GPS. She's all-knowing. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording because we're about done. And